Time to paint our binoculars. Now, these ones might seem kind of boring and simple. We're just, painting a binocular set with, 1 or 2 colors, but I think you'll have a lot of fun thinking of something to put in the viewfinder. So let's save that for last, and let's get our general colors painted. I'm gonna be going with some brown tones, probably some brown and black mixed together to make it a bit more neutral, since my brown tends to be kind of a warm brown. Whenever you use yours, you can see if you like the way that it is, if it's warm or cool, or if you want to change it by mixing something else with it. I'm gonna go pick a medium tone and paint it pretty much everywhere, because I can add some shadows, which will be one of the most important parts for this one to show its 3D form. But for now, we just need to get this color everywhere. I do plan on adding some pops of colors, although I really haven't decided where yet. And I know that when I do, if I keep this brown light enough, I can cover it up. I think I'll definitely keep this center contraption white, and that's one spot I could add some color, but even if I add color somewhere else, I'm just trying to keep this light enough that I have the ability to do so. So remember, you can always cover something up when you go darker. So start light, lots of water, a little bit of color, and spread that everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna switch to some gray, so some black watered down to do some of these other pieces, like these where the eyes actually look through will be a nice medium gray tone. I'm gonna make the ends of my straps a gray just to mix up my neutrals from the brown. I also am gonna make the edge of the viewfinders here. Well, these I guess are not the viewfinders. These are the eyes. I'm actually not really sure what you would call these. It's where, because you look through these, those are the viewfinders, and this is, I guess, where you look out of. So I don't know what to call them, but these, I'm gonna add some more gray to them, the inside of it, and then probably just as carefully as I can around this edge. If you have a smaller brush to switch to, that might be a good idea. Otherwise, I'll just do it carefully with my brush and being okay with a bit of messiness. It's okay if we're not perfect. There's beauty in the wiggliness of the lines and beauty in the imperfections. It shows that a person painted it, so roll with it. All right, I'm gonna get these edges gray, and then I do think I'm gonna add kind of some greens to this, but I think most of it will still be kind of this gray tone. So I'm gonna go in here and make most of the metal a gray, or it could be plastic too, I suppose. This kind of medium gray tone, leaving that spinny guy, I'm gonna leave him white and make him a color, but I don't know what color yet. It might actually depend on what I put in these circles at the front. So maybe I'll save that for last, actually. Okay, now I am gonna add some shadows to where the form turns. So these edges here, I'm gonna make these a little bit different because this is where it sticks out. So I'm gonna add another layer of brown paint to make them look like the cylindrical shape they are. Same thing, kind of thinking of that cylinder shape. I'm gonna go along the bottom and try to fade it up inside here as well. Now to fade it, I could just keep brushing until the paint runs out. That's one way to do it. Or I could add water to my brush to lighten the color as it gets higher, but that worked pretty well. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side, dark at the bottom, and just kind of go back and forth as I get higher to make it lighter. Now, if my paint isn't running out fast enough, I'm gonna wash my brush, come back, and just smooth the edge as it gets higher. I'm okay if I see a little bit of those stripes. That's not the end of the world, but we do want it to just get lighter as it gets higher. So this makes it look a little curved, lighter, or darker to lighter at the top. Now my metal pieces, the inside of my front here, I'm gonna add some darker shadow kind of at the top and on the side, because that's where we'd see, of course, that shadow, because light is usually above us. I'm gonna clean off my brush so I don't have any more paint, and then I can fade away the bottom of that. So by getting a clean brush that's just barely damp, I can then move the paint that's already there and make it fade more gradually. So that's a very nice opposite. It's a complement to this shadow on this side, the shadow on the inside of this side. One more spot that could use a shadow is back here at the bottom, again, kind of working it at lighter as it gets higher up. So I'm gonna wipe off my brush and fade that shadow up a little bit. I should clean it off completely, apparently. Here we go. Just darker at the bottom, lighter at the top, just a little bit to show that 3D effect. Okay, now I want to pause there. I can always go back and change more, but I'm really excited about what's in here. You get to pick. You could be looking at the sky. You could be looking at an ocean scene. You could be looking at mountains, at rolling hills, at buildings. And what I want you to do is paint what you're looking at across these 2 circles. So I'm gonna do maybe a mountainous sunset-y landscape because that's just fun, but really you can do anything. So I'm gonna get some yellow since I'm thinking of a sunset. You always wanna start with the sky unless it's really dark. So I'm gonna do kind of about halfway up. I'm gonna fill some yellow at the top here. So again, about halfway, keeping it nice and light if I can, making this sort of sunset. And then I'm gonna add some orange to it to wake up a little bit of orange. And go that up. And maybe some red. I actually don't know if this is the correct order for the sunset. Maybe this is a sunset, the other direction's the sunrise. I'm really not sure. You'd think by now I've painted enough that I would know what the correct order from top to bottom is, but I don't. Okay, but that's pretty. That's a nice little sunset. And then I think maybe I'll do like well, if it's a sunset, I won't be able to see all the details. So it'd be kind of a dark foreground. So I'm gonna mix some brown and blacks together and do kind of a mountain range. And then swoosh that down. Might cover it up with a bit of green, but since it is sunset, I won't see a very vibrant green anyways. But it's a nice long mountain range because it's going across both of the goggles, because that way it's like, right, you're looking at the same thing through both eyes, so it should be connected. Get a little bit of water. If it's looking scratchy, that means it's thirsty for water. And kind of fade that down. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry for a second, and then I'll add some green at the bottom. Since I did decide to do these sunset colors, I think I'm gonna use a red for my knob up here, maybe a bit of brown. And that way it kind of matches my theme. As I've mentioned, it's good to repeat colors so that they feel like they're meant to be there. So now that I have a bit of red, it goes with this sunset idea and they kind of match each other a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna get a little bit of green, probably some green and brown to neutralize it again, and just put some kind of fields at the bottom. It's a nice grassy hill area below the mountain. So this isn't completely dry yet, but it's working out okay because I want to use the brown. So I'm okay if they mix because it makes it look more neutral. So here, now I'm looking at this nice sunset. I do want some shadows on my mountains to make them look a little real. So I'm taking black and I'm gonna add kind of to one side of the mountains. I'm gonna add this sort of shadow where it goes from peak to valley and peak to valley. And this kind of makes it look like it has this shadow edge. Sometimes I like to do it in a few other places too, just to make it a bit more natural. But the main idea is that it's on a single side, peak to valley. And that creates that sort of 3D edge to the mountains. Oh, that was so much fun. Now, because this painting doesn't have the lines like our binoculars, you could go back in with a pen and outline the mountains so they match the style, but it also makes them feel kind of fuzzy and far away, which I think is a nice effect. So I think I'm gonna leave them. I do wanna go and just add a little bit of shadow, so a little bit of brown, just these little lines in my dial and maybe this edge. And actually I never added a shadow to my metal here. So I'm gonna go back with a little bit of black and make this center contraption have some shadows as well. Then everything can look nice in 3D. All right, now I think I'm good. I hope you get to see some beautiful sights on your adventures and have fun painting them. I hope you try some new ideas inside your binoculars. Of course, you can use mountains, but maybe think about clouds or a sky or a seascape, whatever adventure you have fond memories of. Paint a little bit of that inside your binoculars and have so much fun. Happy painting!